Hello everyone, welcome to another sketchbook tour. This is another one of my Stillman Birn Nova series beige sketchbooks. This is the small version of my larger one that I show all the time. I recently did a sketchbook tour of one of these bigger ones. But this is one that I take with me outside. I usually keep it in the car or one of my backpacks, and I actually started this sketchbook in 2021. I've lost it randomly over the last couple of years here and there, and then find it again and use it for a while. So it's been with me for quite a while, and I've taken it on several adventures. And since I know I'm going to get a question about who made this sticker, it's one of my favorite illustrators and artists, Sushi Art. I'll put a tag to their name so you can see how it's spelled on social media. I just love the stickers they make, and I put them on all of my sketchbooks. The beginning of the sketchbook is usually dedicated to testing materials, like all sorts of different things, pens, pencils, colors, markers. And somewhere on there, I usually ask people to return my sketchbook to me if they find it. I've never lost one, but it's good to have it, your email or something there. And something you'll see a lot in the sketchbook is that I tend to use blue a lot, or blue pencil, blue ink, blue pen, mainly because I just like how it looks. There's no other reason. I love how blue and white looks on this paper. And I do often find that I'm using the first few pages just to test different materials, and eventually I kind of settle into what I really like to use in a sketchbook. But with something like this small sketchbook, I'm often, painting or drawing outside, and I'm just grabbing whatever I feel like using that day, toss it in my bag, and just go. I also have quite a few rock and tree sketches in this sketchbook. Since this one is usually in the car with me, if I'm ever waiting for an appointment or doing something out and about, it's easy to grab and sketch something from my imagination. And my go-to imagination thing is always rocks and trees. But a lot of these were done from life, just depends. Like this one I was testing out my Etcher Slate Mini, and actually made a video about that one, but little sketches on the go. I think one of the great things about a small sketchbook like this is there's less pressure to make anything big and masterful, and oh, that's upside down. I find that it's very stress-free to use a small sketchbook. I can do a small page like this or a couple small sketches on one page in a very short amount of time. So if I'm feeling that time pressure, I can just grab this one and just doodle something. Trying to tilt the paper so it's not reflecting the light. This was, I kind of realized if you draw with white Posca pen and add blue marker over the top of that, you can create an interesting gradient, I guess. So this is blue marker with blue pencil on top, fading up to white. But in order to get that mid-ground blue, I had to do blue marker on top of the white. I hope that makes sense. Basically, I was just experimenting with different processes of layering my materials and how I can create different lighting effects in the landscape I'm doing. That one is sideways. We have all these old cars like half buried in the forest. It's really weird. but it's really fun to sketch. This was when I got my water-soluble graphite, I think. So possibly the next few pages have quite a bit of that. Yeah, here we go into the water-soluble graphite, which is a lot of fun because you can just draw and use a water brush. You don't need any fancy materials or extra things. It's very minimal, so you can take it with you, easy to fit in your pocket. It is a little reflective, so I have to tilt the paper, but you can get a wide range of values. And I have a white one, I think, which is very subtle, but it's just enough for this paper. Then I also have water-soluble colored pencils, which, oh, that must have been how I used the white. So the white water-soluble colored pencil, depending how much you layer it, you can get really, really white effects. And I also can use a Posca pen for just like the final highlights. So that's a lot of fun. And I find the water-soluble colored pencils, which is across these pages, they do require some finessing to figure out how to layer with them without getting really muddy. Like in these landscapes, I was doing autumn scenes, so it kind of worked because everything was really earthy. But yeah, it's a tricky thing on the beige paper. But the ones I have are quite highly pigmented, so depending on the color I can get some really nice vibrant tones, like those deep purples. It's a lot of fun, the deep blues there. Watercolor isn't great on this paper. If I do it, I only use it in a very minimal water. So you know, with these water-soluble colored pencils, I have to really be careful with how much water I'm using. Otherwise, the paper gets really warped. You can kind of see if I turn it like this. I take the sketchbook a lot when I go to the harbor. One of my favorite restaurants is on the coast, and it's right at the boat harbor, so I'm sitting there eating lunch, sketching boats a lot. I think the sideways. I think I was testing layering gouache on top of marker for this, which was kind of a disaster. I think these were done right before sunset, so I was like rushing through with my plein air group, and I think I considered tearing these pages out, but I liked what was on the back of that one, so I didn't. You know, it's like you just realize some days you're just gonna have an off painting and you just deal with it and move on. Yeah, I mean, gouache, you can use a little bit of water, and you know, gouache is more opaque. You can use it thicker, so you don't have to use tons of water with it, and that's why I prefer gouache on this over watercolor. Oh, this is actually when I started my Plein April last year, and I was mostly using gouache that month. Have to flip it over because of the way I was facing the sketchbook when I painted. I usually have the spiral facing up when I'm painting because because otherwise my hand hits that and it's annoying. I think I've shown these all in the recap of Plein April last year, but we're just gonna keep going. See, a lot of times I split the page in half and get 2 paintings out of it, depending how much time I have. I think this is one of the few architectural pieces I've done from life with gouache. I generally prefer watercolor for urban scenes, buildings. I think because I like the ink and watercolor look. Little wave studies. I think that must have been towards the end of Plein April. I actually really love how black ink and white Posca pen looks, doing like these intense contrast drawings. It's a very graphic look. These bring back such good memories, painting on the coast, beautiful weather. Oh my gosh, it just makes me so happy. These were during my bike ride around, it was like a 90-mile bike ride over a couple days along the Aberdeenshire coast. Beautiful area. You might recognize the pear studies. I almost call them peaches. The pear studies from a video last year, possibly. Yeah, end of last year, autumn. I tend to paint a lot of fruit during harvest season. Very inspiring. Or maybe it was the apples in the video, I can't remember. I definitely did a Patreon video about fruit. Oh my gosh, I can feel sand stuck in the gouache on this paper. I think I had dropped my sketchbook while the paint was wet. Lots of little doodles. I think, using my dried gouache palette whenever I have a chance outside. Making little color notes. I think I showed these in a recent video. Green fields. It's gorgeous in the spring, early summer here. Everything is just insanely green though. It's a bit overwhelming. And this one was a little warm-up I did for my last Patreon tutorial, my paint along. We painted some rushing water over rocks. That was so much fun. And more fields. I think that's it. Yeah. These are my water-soluble color pencil colors. So just, again, the beginning and the end of the sketchbook I typically use to test materials. And that is it. I hope it was inspiring and it encourages you to go out there and sketch. I'll see you all next time. Take care.